At 53, Dame Dash is finally pulling back the curtain on his complex history with Jay-Z, revealing the highs and lows of their once dominant partnership. From launching Jay-Z's career to co-founding Roc-A-Fella Records, Dash played a key role in shaping hip-hop history. But behind the success, tension and betrayal brewed, leading to a dramatic fallout that changed everything. Now, Dash is speaking out like never before, exposing the business decisions, personal rifts, and power struggles that tore apart one of the most influential alliances in hip-hop. As Jay-Z rose to untouchable mogul status, Dash found himself on the outside looking in. Unfiltered and unapologetic, Dash shares a side of the story, offering rare insight into the ambition, loyalty, and conflicts that define their journey. At 53, he's ready to set the record straight, taking us inside the world of hip-hop, where success and betrayal often go hand in hand.
I don't really, honestly, like, unless he's my money up, I don't give what Jay's doing, to be honest. But when he's with my money, that's when I be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, enough is enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I already walked away from the block, leave me alone. But I don't, like what's going on now is like interesting to know what's gonna happen and shit. Like everyone's interested. But other than that, I never really cared what he was doing. I really don't.
How is he messing up your money?
Like if I'm trying to sell something, him and his lawyers, Alex Shapiro, putting a false lawsuit on me, like, shit like that, devaluing anything that I have or trying to sell. But, or even down to like, we were selling Rockware, right, for like $400 million or whatever. I was gonna make $40 million. And right before Tommy Hilfiger signs the papers, he makes an announcement saying that he's not with Rockware, that he's only with S. Carter. The whole shit up. And I just feel like he did that only because I was going to make $40 million. Like he just couldn't see, like they get so mad if I'm going to make money off them. Like every time I could have made a really big check, he's always stepped in and intentionally it up. Every time.
Dame Dash's rise to prominence is deeply tied to Jay-Z as they co-founded Roc-A-Fella Records in the late 1990s, an independent label that reshaped the music industry. United by a shared vision, they set out to build their own platform and challenge the traditional power structures of the business. Dash's relentless hustle and Jay-Z's lyrical brilliance created a formidable partnership that left a lasting impact on hip-hop.
He was making enough money that he felt he didn't need to rap anymore. But that changed, and he eventually connected with some guys across the East River in Harlem, New York, around the year 94. They were a group of young hustlers who went by the name Best Out. It included Dame Dash, Kareem Biggs Burke, and a few others who used to throw parties at venues in the city. Dame Dash, a Harlem native, was advised to link up with Jay-Z by DJ Clark Kent because he was managing a few up-and-coming hip-hop acts at the time. After the introduction was made, the two sparked it off right, as both were young entrepreneurs building a name for themselves in the industry. Dame brought in Biggs, and the plan was to take the marketing savvy that they used with Best Out and apply it to music. The three agreed to launch Roc-A-Fella together in the late 94 or early 95, with Biggs being the silent partner and Dame and Jay being the most visible. Jay got to work and started recording his debut album set to drop the following year in 1986. With a singles-only deal by Payday Records, a small label, Jay had been turned down by most of the major labels at the time.
Their journey was not without struggle. When major labels refused to sign Jay-Z's debut album Reasonable Doubt, it was Dame Dash who believed in his talent and took the bold step of creating Roc-A-Fella Records. Their commitment soon paid off, and with the massive success of Hard Knock Life, both the label and their careers skyrocketed, cementing their place in hip-hop history.
Ain't No was the highest charting single at number 50. Def Jam's move to add on the singles to Naughty Professor basically saved it. The album went on to sell 420,000 copies in its first year of release, making Jay a force to be reckoned with in hip-hop. Seeing the success and the buzz around the first album, Def Jam signed Jay to a 50-50 multi-million-dollar distribution deal in 1997 with his Roc-A-Fella imprint. Def Jam bought half of the label for $1.5 million, leaving Jay, Dame, and Biggs the other half. It was on from there on. The trio's hustle had finally paid off, and they had found their purpose in life. Jay released his next 3 albums, In My Lifetime Volume 1 in 1987, Volume 2 Hard Knock Life in 1988, and Volume 3 Life and Times of S. Carter in 1999. All 3 of those albums included hit records, and he also made guest appearances on Biggie's posthumous album, Life After Death, that raised his popularity as one of the biggest rappers in the country and made Roc-A-Fella a label to be reckoned with. Dame knew how to capitalize on Jay's powerful momentum, and in 1999, Dame organized the legendary Hard Knock Life tour, which featured a lineup of Hove, DMX, Method Man, Redman, and Beanie Siegel, Memphis Bleak, Ja Rule, DJ Clue.
As Roc-A-Fella expanded, so did the tension between Dame Dash and Jay-Z. Despite building a multi-million-dollar empire, their contrasting personalities began to strain their relationship. Dash was known for his bold, often abrasive management style, while Jay-Z maintained a more calculated and professional approach. These differences in temperament led to growing friction, gradually pushing them apart.
Main objective was to take over the whole entire planet. I made a conscious decision to take over the world. I like to spend all kinds of money. I like the dollar, I like the euro, I like the pound, I like the franc pause.
Dame Dash is the ultimate hustler. He could sell sand in the desert, water to a fish, and famously convinced Adam22 to give him $500 for a haircut, despite not having a hair on his head.
It sounds like a pretty expensive haircut, considering all he really needs a Bic. I could have done it for free.
But Dame Dash was always a neighborhood finesser, starting his business career way back as a youth when he actually had hair. As a young boy, he made money any way he could, from sweeping up hair on barbershop floors to delivering newspapers. And apparently, being so young with more money than all of the adults around him is what fostered that nasty arrogance that Dame Dash is so famous for.
Having more money than people older than me made it where, it made me kind of arrogant because they didn't have anything that I felt I didn't have, and they were living a square life. So I definitely think it gave me a certain mentality.
I mean, just imagine how demeaning it would be to have a 14-year-old Dame Dash calling your grown ass out for being broke.
But
Is $100,000 money?
It's money.
Not to me.
So you can't do.
Not to me.
But as time went by, Dame Dash made a name for himself in Harlem as an entrepreneur and hustler.
While Dash thrived in the fast-paced, hands-on world of entrepreneurship, Jay-Z began shifting his focus toward long-term business ventures, aligning himself with major corporate interests. Dash, however, remained committed to independence, resisting what he saw as the corporate trap that Jay-Z appeared to embrace. Roc-A-Fella wasn't the only brand they built. Roc-A-Wear, the clothing line they launched in the early 2000s, became a staple in hip-hop fashion. Dash's entrepreneurial drive helped elevate the brand, while Jay-Z's star power expanded its reach to a wider audience.
All went under the Roc-A-Fella imprint. In the year 2000, a young Chicago beatmaker, Kanye West, started producing for artists on Roc-A-Fella Records as an in-house producer. While Jay and Roc-A-Fella, the label, was getting bigger in the music scene, he started noticing the power of his influence amongst his fans, from the clothes they were wearing to the preferred alcohol beverages that was being imitated by the audience. Jay and Dame saw an opportunity to get into the clothing business, following the model of Russell Simmons with his Fat Farm brand. The idea actually came about around 1987, but it wasn't launched till later on in 1999. Jay was quoted as saying, "I would make records and talk about various clothing brands, and I started noticing that I was selling a lot of clothing for these companies. I would go to them and they kept turning me away. I don't think they understood the amount of clothing I was moving for them."
In addition to Roc-A-Wear, Dash pursued several other business ventures, including film production and marketing, expanding his influence beyond music and positioning himself as a mogul in his own right. However, Jay-Z's ambitions began to take a different path. While Dash remained committed to independence, Jay-Z aligned himself with Def Jam, stepping into a corporate role, a move Dash saw as a betrayal.
He brought in the now fashion giant Charlie Ronson, who was just a 21-year-old British singer looking to bridge into the fashion world at the time. With Roc-A-Fella for financial backing and distribution, the 21-year-old Ronson was able to concentrate on the creative aspect of the business. In the year 2000, Roc-A-Fella signed a deal with Midway Games and PlayStation 2 to design clothing for the Afro Thunder character from the popular video game Ready to Rumble. Another branding opportunity came with the early 2002 release of the new film State Property with Beans. The film featured the State Property line of Roc-A-Fella, and Beans got a piece of the deal. Beans and the State Property crew wore the outfit in the film, and while performing, Dame was working. By mid-year 2002, him and the crew flew to Paris, shooting an ad campaign featuring the new State Property line and Roc-A-Fella's other apparel. Model, State Prop, and former Spice Girl Victoria Beckham shot on locations around the legendary City of Lights. In a campaign Dame hoped would appeal to the European consumers. Dame was dreaming big and wanted to conquer the international scene.
By 2004, it was clear that the bond between Dash and Jay-Z was on the brink of collapse. Jay-Z's growing ambitions at Def Jam, coupled with his desire to step back from music and focus on business, marked a turning point. The final straw came when Jay-Z allegedly interfered with a major Roc-A-Fella deal, a move Dash claims cost him millions. As Jay-Z prioritized his solo career and corporate ventures, he distanced himself from Dash, ultimately triggering their split. Despite the personal and professional tensions, Dash never completely severed ties with Jay-Z, but the partnership that once propelled them to the top was no longer sustainable.
Get this piece.
Where'd you get this piece?
Нельзя, потому проблема будет у нас. Yo, Dave, you gotta bring that back, yo. What you doing?
Also, Beans was going through his legal issue with the gun case, so there was a lot of bad press with Roc-A-Fella at the time. Def Jam is now trying to figure out how to separate Jay from Dame, as they see him as somebody who they couldn't work with anymore because of his temperament. The last straw was when Dame found out about a meeting at Def Jam's offices about Jay that he wasn't a part of. Dame decided to head up there, where he berated everybody in the office.
I called Dame and Dash and said, you want the whole thing to hear it? Keep the door open. I don't give a Y'all should have called Dame and Dash, made sure I was privy to it, and made sure I was CC'd or whatever. You don't send an email randomly at 10:30 at night or whatever it is at night, the day we all had to wait. That don't fly right. That just and on another level, it's not for y'all to do. Y'all do not control any of my artists. That's why I'm asking questions. Everybody looking dumb in the face. So what was we doing? What was we talking about in terms of the day? Let me know.
One of the most pivotal moments in their fallout was Jay-Z's transition to Def Jam, where he took on the role of president. In doing so, Jay-Z positioned himself as a key player in the corporate music world, marking a major shift in the landscape of hip-hop as he became more of a businessman than an artist. Meanwhile, Dame Dash found himself on the sidelines, watching as his former partner embraced a world of big money deals and corporate maneuvering. Dash, who had always prided himself on his independence, wasn't eager to follow in Jay-Z's footsteps. Instead, he fought to maintain his own label and business empire, but the challenges eventually became overwhelming.
It's also been said that around this time, Jay began to have a lot less admiration for Dame Dash as a business mentor, saying in a 2009 XXL interview that he believes that Dame Dash is good at starting something, but constantly gets in his own way, suggesting that Dame Dash just doesn't know how to behave in the professional corporate world. Oh, come on, Jay. I mean, sure, Warren Buffett knows loads about building a successful conglomerate of corporate businesses, but can he move like this? Essentially, Dame was running around constantly causing messes that Jay had to clean up after Dame had been such a dash hole. And from there, Jay began to rely more on his former accountant John Minnelli and record exec Steve Stout for business support. This, combined with Jay-Z's ambition to retire after his final album, The Black Album, and become a full-time business executive, will be the death knell for his partnership with Dame Dash. When a drunken Dame Dash was interviewed in 2004, he seemed to have an inkling that Jay-Z was about to spread his wings and go independent.
So what's going on with you and Jay and everything right now?
That's my man. You know, he's doing his thing. Jay's doing what he do. Got his S. Carter. Probably doing a record label or something. We love Jay. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Jay's an independent individual. That's what I breed over at the Roc. He's a product of the Roc. Go fly your wings, Jay. I'm with you. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
That's my man.
But nothing could have prepared him for the Inception-level finesse that he was about to be subjected